Select, they're looking a lot better moving forward. Started 0-4, but then have clawed their way back to this 6-6 point.
Yeah, I mean, both teams here, I think, will be confident they could pick up a game, but a 2-0 would be a surprise either way, just because of how inconsistent Vici have been and how Royal have really been able to iron out leads. And we haven't even spoken about Insect, who, when he's ahead, when he can get that aggression going, he can make some excellent moves, but the inconsistency crops up in both their victories and their defeats. We've seen points where he tries to single-handedly go overly aggressive and potentially lose his team and engage from that aggression. So he's still growing into the shot calling role. He's still the aggressive man we're used to knowing, but the shot calls haven't felt as decisive as some of his Lee Sin initiations.
That is definitely true, but we are into Champion Select, so let's go through the bans here. Na, Rumble, Janna, and Lissandra being taken off the board. One lonely support ban in amongst all of these top laners that have been taken off the board. Of course, Lissandra, a bit of a flex pick there as well, but very top focused here. And I mean, Cassidy coming through, that could be focused at Kohler as well, even though Hatong, you could imagine, probably would have wanted to pick that one up.
And the surprise here is there's a Janna and a Cassidy ban. Would that be a surprise in the bans picks? No, but they're both coming out of Vici despite, as you said, Hatong is a wonderful Cassidy player and Marta's probably the quintessential Janna player. So for them to ban them both on blue tells me they've got something interesting cooked up here.
Yeah, they may have a plan. We'll see what the final ban to come through here is. I mean, Jarvan is looking like a potential option, but Rek'Sai's also snuck through and is going to be taken off the board. Vici Gaming have the opportunity to take away that Jarvan for Dandy if they want to, but of course Dandy's champion pool is gigantic. Is Rengar, of course, world class. But we'll see what they decide to go with, as it has been Xerath hovered over here. That's what they're looking for.
You have to think there was a particular champion they were looking for, because they knew that they would throw off Starhorn Royal Club with these bans on blue side. These are champions that we expect to be sniped off on blue side between the Janna, the Na, the Cass, and all common first picks in this series. So to actually commit to potentially the Xerath right here, we've actually seen an increasing flow of the Xerath first pick, just because there's not a lot of champions, barring Cassidy, that can really bully him out of lane. And in late game, the likes of Barker have shown us the power of the Xerath pick in the late game.
Especially that 100-0 potential if you manage to get a target slowed down so that Rite of the Arcane can come straight on top of them. But Zero does have an opportunity to pick up his Thresh here, and that's what they're looking at with that Jarvan as well. So some power picks coming through in response here from Royal Club, and they're going to lock him away.
Getting Zero Thresh here is massive. With Janna out, by far his strongest champion, we were talking about Zero making Death Sentence a targeted ability with all those repeated Death Sentences in team fights last week. They're affording themselves the same sort of option right here. I saw your eyes widen at some of the picks coming through from Dandy here. We, of course, won't comment on them too much until we see the lock-in right now. But they've committed to their mid lane here, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Vasily lock in this Sivir.
Yeah, the Sivir has been taken away. They're looking at a potential Kalista in response. But going back to this Sivir pickup, we've been seeing it a little bit more counterable than it maybe was in the first couple of weeks coming through here, and Fizz has been hovered over as well.
I mean, locking in Sivir Maokai is a wonderful duo there, just because you ensure that that very tanky Maokai, who has the key but short range twisted advance, because having all that extra movements, we will get him into the team fight, we'll let him get onto the priority carry. And we've already seen a Maokai do super well against a Kalista. So seeing the Kalista locked in here, it's a good lane matchup for Kalista, but so much gap close from the Maokai. If ever we see carry get really, really powerful in the top lane, as we saw with Pokemon in an earlier series, I worry for this Kalista in team fights.
No, that's very, very true. Mata hovering over a potential Annie pickup here, easily going to be able to stop that Kalista in her tracks, not let her do her funny business. But with Well coming into the lineup here, Royal Club may have noticed the fact that Kalista really coming into competitive play and wanting to have a player that is actually capable of picking up that champion. Maybe HYY just didn't have it in his wheelhouse and they couldn't handle it.
Yeah, we can only speculate. There were rumors that HYY wasn't going to play with Royal Club last week, and they ended up fielding him last week, but looks like he's not out there right now. They're going for a bit of different flavor with the Kalista. It's seen a lot of success and a lot of play in the NA and EU LCS. Imp definitely didn't have a lot of success with it last series. No. He's 1 and 2 on that champion so far, but nobody else has tried it out. So it's interesting to see what sort of flavor we get from this Kalista pickup.
Speaking of a change of flavor, not necessarily a new champion anymore, but Mundo there into the top lane. We haven't seen Mundo up there for quite a while.
I mean, the tanky man in the top lane has almost become a thing of the past, but it's a blast from the past right here. It's a very tank battle between Maokai and Mundo in the top lane. One thing you can say is that Sivir a very poor tank buster, and Mundo the super tank if there ever was one. So it's going to be a battle of anti-carrying between this Mundo and Maokai in a team fight.
Yeah, and in response to this Nunu as well, and one of the things that you really have to focus on is keeping that Mundo down before that level 6 mark when you really have a chance to actually kill him. But I don't think that a Maokai and a Nunu are going to have nearly enough damage to deal with that.
Absolutely. It's going to be a free farm lane for Mundo. He is turret diveable to an extent, even at level 6, because, of course, he uses that. He does actually lose health to activate that over-the-time sustain that the ultimate provides. So he is very turret diveable. We still might see that, but as you say, going to need that third member or something else coming in to pick up a kill.
Yeah, there's going to be some extra roaming necessary to take care of that Mundo. Or are they just going to focus elsewhere on this map? Let the Mundo do what he pleases as he is wont to do, and focus on other lanes like Korn on this Fizz, who can get out of control if they let him. Of course, the changes to Fizz have not yet come through in 5.2, so Fizz still an incredibly powerful champion.
I mean, Fizz's pick potential in the mid game is massive. They can get a ward advantage, then they can use Cole as Fizz, of course one of his most seasoned champions, to its fullest. But I think we're going to load into game.
Yeah, let's get on to the Rift. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, with Vici Gaming taking on Starhorn Royal Club as Vici head out onto the Rift. Starting on the blue side here for game 1, and Dandy just looking ahead over here, maybe get some early vision down, but you can see not too many aggressive starts yet, Papa Smithy.
Yeah, and we've talked a lot about the successes of the Nunu jungle pick today, especially. I believe it's a 100% win rate today and has been very successful in the pockets of people like Clearlove. But I can see it working for Dandy here, but that makes the reaction pick of Mundo oh so smart. You made a very succinct point that keeping this Mundo down is going to be a team effort for Starhorn Royal Club. For Vici if they ever want to, just because there's very little damage in 2v2 skirmishes from the Nunu and Maokai combo.
Not to mention the fact that if they use this Xerath once he's hit level 6 to come up and try and kill this Mundo, that sadism is really going to give him a lot of movement speed to get those dancing shoes on and move out of the way of that Rite of the Arcane if it is going to be coming down. Those long-range skill shots, not going to be too much of a worry here for Mundo. And with the fact that they are sort of partially this double AP comp as well, it gives Mundo this perfect ability to go straight into that Spirit Visage, which he really loves to build.
I mean, Sivir will always have trouble breaking through a Mundo whether he picks up early armor or not, so I agree with you. If he gets the Spirit Visage, works on the magic resist so he can wade through the damage from Xerath, Nunu, and Maokai, he should be just fine against Sivir until the later points of the game when he can pick up the random and get even tankier. And I guess the other interesting thing is that Hatong will really want to itemize a Morellonomicon here just to have the grievous wounds for Mundo. But if you're going Morellonomicon against a Fizz, you're going to have a lot of trouble in lane as that Xerath.
Oh, that is definitely true. Probably wants to be picking up that Athene's Unholy Grail if he wants to, just so that he could potentially survive the massive burst coming through. But he is going to be relatively safe in that lane, of course. As Xerath, you can farm from fairly far away, but not going to be able to have a great time because if Korn gets on top of him, and we know Korn is a fantastic Fizz player, then things could be definitely worrying. But the first couple of levels, he should be okay.
And to answer the question we had about the lack of damage in those trades, we see the lane swap coming up here. Makes a lot of sense. Dr. Mundo in a 3v1 situation will fall down. So in a 1v1 situation, it definitely would have been very difficult for Vici to prey on Mundo's weak early game. But now with the lane swap, they have far more tools to try and help deal with this Dr. Mundo and keep him down in the early game.
And you can see the fact that we've got the double jungling coming through here. Of course, Royal Club very well aware that a lane swap was potentially going to be coming through. Mundo is here sharing experience. Going to head back to the top lane now. Hopefully regen a little bit with that Doran shield. And Vasily doing his very best to freeze out this wave. Of course, has a lot of experience with that, does Vasily, as he's played a lot of that Tristan, a lot of Kog'Maw, tried to get these lane swap situations and freeze out these lanes, try and get to that late game safely.
Yeah, but he's not going on the selfish carry here. It's not the Tristana that we've seen so much from Vasily, both in NA and at the start of the LPL right here. A lot more utility focused about really trying to help carry get into the backline right here. And it's nice to see a bit more focus from Vici on their solo lanes right here, because Hatong, as you say, has been very impressive on the Kassadin. And a lot of the comps that Vici have put together are about protecting the AD. They're about taking pressure away from their solo lanes. But there is potential, especially for carry here, to be really impactful in those late game fights.
So Zero landing a decent death sentence there on the carry. But he's not going to be too worried. Just hanging out under his turret. As Hatong is going to be clearing out these waves in mid. And where do you think the first bout of action is going to come through? Is it going to be immediately, as Insec is potentially coming through to this mid side, or do you think that they should be focusing elsewhere?
I mean, Xerath is a very gankable champion in the early levels just because he needs to actually get there and use his other spells to clear waves. He doesn't have the instant wave clear he does once he picks up his second big AP purchase, so he is gankable in the mid lane here. But I think the big focus is going to be once Korn hits 6 and being able to use the amount of single target lockdown and skirmishing power they have with the Fizz Jarvan combination. They can make a lot happen in lane transitions, especially if they can get a warding advantage right here. And Nunu, once he gets the Sightstone, actually it's going to be a late Sightstone. We saw a lot of Machete into Sightstone, but Vasily up top is a little bit overextended.
Yeah, Insec actually came back around the wall. It's a nice spell shield to block out that cleaver. And he is going to make it back, but did have to blow his heal. Not going to be as safe in that lane.
Now, of course, Insec did have to use the EQ combo to get around the back right there, so it wasn't able to knock up Sivir. No more CC coming in. The Death Sentence lands on Marta, but just a little love tap there from Zero.
Yeah, Zero not deciding to go in on that one, sort of recognizing that they didn't have quite enough damage. Korn taking a lot of damage in this mid lane, actually. Hatong doing a lot of work trying to hit him with that poke from Xerath.
It is a ranged versus melee matchup, so we expect Xerath to have the poke advantage early. It's not till level 6 that Fizz has any real true kill pressure in that lane, unless Jarvan's doing a lot of the damage. So auto him while you can, and then he'll spend the rest of the laning phase much on the back foot.
Oh, most definitely. Marta and Carry now hanging out together. Marta going to be able to kill a Sentinel. Brilliant. Pick himself up some gold. Not too bad at all. Does have that stun charge, so well, going to have to hang back there in that lane. And we'll see how he does on this Kalista here. I think word around the street was the fact that Zero didn't feel necessarily the synergy with HYY that he'd otherwise want. Of course, a star support player, and if he's not playing to his full potential, it's not what you really want as a Starhorn Royal Club fan. But we'll see whether things are going to change with this new recruit here onto the Starhorn Royal Club lineup before Name arrives.
Look, they're still in a holding pattern as a team to some degree. They are waiting for that superstar 80 carry to come up. You're not going to find a Name replacement, especially for a short term in solo queue. It's just
unless you get deft.
Unless you get deft, absolutely. Well, they didn't find him in solo queue. They found him from another country, so it's a bit of a...
Yeah, the World Finals. They found him in Korea. No
yeah, just undiscovered talent deft coming into that EDG lineup. But they're just doing the best with what they have right here, and that's why the fact that they've picked up 3 2-0s, they're really overtuned for points right here. They would have been happy, you'd think, Starhorn Royal Club, after 6 games to have, let's say, 6 points. You know, a few draws, maybe a heroic victory somewhere. But to have those 3 decisive wins just puts them in such a better spot later in the season. Because we're going to see Name come in. It's a very long series, a very long LPL, 44 games. Once he comes in with perhaps half the season to play, they're going to have time to play themselves into form, rediscover themselves as a team with that strong AD carry, and they're going to have these solo laners who've been relied upon for the first 22 games, really playing themselves into form and finding solo laners who can carry to support a very established AD carry and winner in Name.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right, and it's almost a good test here for Korn and Cola, really get them into the feeling of playing with a different carry other than Uzi, and maybe almost gimping themselves a little bit, you could say, into really making sure that they step up.
Well, I mean, it kind of answers questions like, what do Royal Club look when they don't have Uzi draining resources?
Yeah.
We get an idea of that now, but of course, we don't know whether there's a direction to give to get Korn more farm or Cola, like where they're going to channel their resources. And of course, we don't know what Name will demand when he comes back into the team. But you have to think, at least the trend has been impressive showings from Korn and Cola in these games. You have to think they're getting more gold than they usually would. So we're trying to get a favor for what their potential is. So when Name comes in, they can be like, all right, you get this percentage of the farm. And maybe it'll be higher or lower depending on the performance they see in the first half of the season.
We'll see what they do decide to go with. And it looks like the Morellonomicon is going to be picked up here by Hatong. So potentially a little bit vulnerable to the all-in from Korn.
What it means is that this Xerath is going to sit way back. He's not going to be interested. There's not going to be any more cute autos on the head of that fish in the mid lane. He's going to have to sit way back, pick up this blue buff here, and farm waves from distance, because he does not have the magic resist to deal from that burst from Fizz.
Yeah, and Korn is just going to be warding up his lane here a little bit. Of course, the warding on the map looking very good for Vici Gaming, as you'd expect, of course, with a team that has Dandy and Marta. Marta forced to hang around in this bottom lane as we've reverted back to standard lanes, and Cola having a great time in there on the top side. 20 CS lead at the end of this lane swap, and Carry is going to be able to clear out this wave relatively easily, but this Mundo has made it to level 6 unhindered.
Yeah, we saw a lot of fast pushing coming out from Sivir. She wasn't trying to hold the wave away from Mundo. So now that Mundo enters lane with that Spectre's Cowl, he actually is in a very strong point of power compared to just the double Dorans and Ruby Crystal from Carry. Going to be hard for Carry to go for a selfish item build like the Rod of Ages here, just because he's had a fairly interrupted early game.
He most definitely has, and we'll see whether it is going to be that Righteous Glory pickup that he goes for instead. That's what we've been seeing, sort of the default lane swap Maokai pickup. But we'll see what does happen. BF Sword's being picked up for both of our AD carries as well. Only 4 CS the difference here.
It's the major difference in Kalista builds that we've seen in the LPL has been, apart from the Blade the Ruin King first game from Imp, we see a lot more of these BF Sword, potentially Infinity Edge Rush Kalistas, which don't have that attack speed flavor that we expect from the likes of Sneaky in the NALCS.
Yeah, it hasn't really been the Hurricane builds to come through here, as we saw demonstrated by Imp, but still doing a lot of damage, a little bit more single target. You do lose out on a lot of wave clear without that Hurricane. Of course, you can't just enter a lane and destroy everything with that Rend by proccing it on multiple minions at once, but certainly do have a lot more single target damage. Nice twisted advance to dodge out of the way of that cleaver, but nothing really going to come of it. And Dandy takes a little bit of damage from Insect there as they're fighting over this ward, but so does Insect.
The bottom lane looks like we're having some trading off screen.
Yeah, a lot of trading. That was actually Zero taking almost his entire health bar from that Tibbers from Marta, who's now charged that stun back up again. Korn and Insect are coming round. They don't want their bottom lane to get dived, as Vasili's going to throw out a boomerang to try and stop Zero from backing.
Yeah, good relieving of pressure right there as we see Mundo continues his advantage in top lane right here. I do worry for Vasili just because this Mundo is going to be massive if he's able to freely farm in the top lane.
Oh, most definitely. We talked about this, the fact that he might need to be kept down, but hasn't happened yet, and we'll see what the answer is going to be, whether it is going to be just relying on that Morellonomicon to get him out of these fights. Of course, he only offers really that slow from the cleaver, so if he's ignorable, then things are fine, but you can see he's doing a lot of damage.
Happy to trade here. Now pops the ultimate. I don't know if you look for a turret dive, but Cola, I mean, this is the Cole that's kind of developed over the LPL. He started the LPL still on the back foot. He struggled in lane the first few series for Starhorn Royal Club, but he's starting to finally translate winning lanes into really aggressively pushing his advantage rather than being the passive team fighter who we saw really struggling on the meta of Rise and the tanky champions of the World Finals. He's back on Mundo here, but he's starting to be able to push a laning advantage into late game team fighting, and that's a big development step for Cola.
Yeah, you can see Carry actually teleporting back to that top side. Cola had recently used that Summoner spell in order to get back as well, so no teleport advantages just yet, but Cola's is going to be up relatively sooner than Carry's is. So we'll see whether they do make any plays for this dragon or anything like that. Spirit Visage has been completed now for Cola as well, so he's going to be basically immovable. He's got so much health regen, and that ultimate is now going to be giving him back so much of his health.
But it is important that he has the teleport advantage. That's why we start to see Maokai start walking towards the bot lane here. You would fancy the Nunu double Sightstone comp to have the big advantage for early dragon, just with all the aggressive wards they have put down. But the teleport advantage will change things.
Yeah, Marta actually gets caught up here, and that is the dunk. Zero locks down the kill, and first blood for Royal Club.
Instant kill onto Marta. Then they won't be happy that Zero picks it up, but they'll have to take it there. But will they be able to translate that pick into dragon?
Not entirely sure. Korn has decided he wants to head back into this mid lane. Hatong now with a slight level advantage here. He's going to clear out these minions. Not too frightened of Korn here as well, who has that fish available, also has both of his summoner spells, can do some tricky business if he wants to.
Tong's actually been super successful in keeping Korn honest in this lane. He's just wave clearing, moving back, and forcing Korn to react to the minions crashing into his turret. It's a smart play from the Xerath, and it's keeping him competitive in CS. To be only 11 CS behind in a Xerath vs Fizz matchup, you know in the late game, if Korn can't get those priority targets with the fish, he's going to be completely out-damaged by all the AoE magic damage coming out of Xerath's artillery shots.
Oh, most definitely. But this bottom side, it's well just clearing out this wave very calm and collectedly. Cola going to have to deal with this Vengeful Maelstrom coming through from Carry. A fair bit of damage considering the damage that Cola was doing back to him.
Feels like a blast from the past having these tank battles where
I
you're just
know.
100% sure nobody's going to be dying.
The wet noodle fight of the top lane is back in force, ladies and gentlemen.
We need Korn to free us from this tanky top and to start hitting those fishes on people.
Yeah, please, Con. Roam somewhere and kill everyone. Sentinel going to be going down, screaming a little bit while Marta throws a fire into its face. It's no worries at all. Marta now wearing eyeballs above his head as Dandy's going to take down this red buff. A bit of a steal away here. Haven't seen Dandy doing too much this game, but able to do that one. And solo kill in the top lane for Cola. That is ridiculous.
Now we have to put our foot firmly in our mouth as we do see the solo kill coming out in the tank matchup right there. We talked about Cola and that Spirit Visage. We said, okay, that's a big item pickup for him, but he's basically shrugging off any damage Carry can do him, and he just straight up killed him in a 1v1.
Yeah, and you could imagine that that would have taken a while. So, you know, still a long battle, but Cola able to deal with that one. And that is terrifying for Vici Gaming, because if Cola goes unchecked completely and gets ahead in the lane, he's going to be immovable, completely unkillable in the mid to late game.
And we don't need to make the obvious Mundo reference right here, but it looks like he's going to be plenty strong for running straight into Vasili's face. He'll pick up the Randuids probably as the second big pickup here, maybe transition to a Warmox, but for a champion that's not a tank buster, Civ has got to work cut out doing any damage to this Mundo.
Oh, that is definitely correct. Could you imagine that Warmox might be coming through a little bit earlier? Has seen a little bit more prevalence just recently?
Well, he's shopped with about 1,500 gold here. He's gone for the early Merc treads right here, so he has about 50% tenacity when he has the Burning Agony running. So he does have a lot of tenacity right here. He's probably not in a rush to pick up any sort of armor items, just because, again, we're talking about Sivir right here, who'll do a decent burst of damage, but just can't consistently do damage to a tank. And now that he has teleport available, he's just going to walk bottom lane right here. He's going to have to match this teleport coming in from Maokai.
Yeah, Carry already teleported in here. All the poke damage coming through. Insec is going to be able to lock down that dragon, but there is the Rite of the Arcane. Throws all of those bolts in. Lots of damage. There is actually Dandy coming through with a huge absolute zero, but he dies for it as zero. He's going to get picked up by Well, who's now going to try and kite his way around. Cola just wandering through, not really phased by anything that's going on at this stage, but it is going to be a win here for Vici Gaming.
Yeah, Cola was far too selfish with his use of teleport right there. He was happy to walk down and group, but that let Insect die instantly after he was tanking down the dragon. So they lose 3 members there for free, basically. They do pick up that structure, but they're going to lose their outer turret.
Yeah, and Well was trying to kite around, but unable to really do too much, of course. Kalista, before any attack speed, not really going to be able to move as quickly as you'd otherwise like.
So we see the replay right here. They're able to freely DPS down this dragon fairly fast, but the teleport comes in from Maokai, and look on this mini-map at Cola. He's just waddling down slowly to the dragon here. Insect dies for free to the Xerath burst right here before Cola can group. And because so many members are dying in the front line here for Royal, it doesn't matter how tanky Cola is. They just completely ignore him because the team is not good. They don't have Mundo at the front eating skill shots, tanking up people, and being able to chase. Instead, they just walk around him, pick up some kills, and it's a fairly even trade overall.
Yeah, and in fact, Cola sort of just ran off on his own, left the rest of his team behind, and there's not what you can do. He really needs to be trying to peel, trying to be that meat shield in front of his team.
Yeah, look, if he was grouped earlier there, it would have been a totally different fight. But when Maokai is able to get the flank engaged while Cola kind of slowly walks into the fight ahead, like before his after his carries have already committed, it's just not how you use a Mundo comp. So it's a mistake they made once, but I don't see it happening again from the Starhorn Royal Club side.
Yeah, but Marta does have the stun available. Dandy's going to come through here and clear out the vision. Sentinel is going to spot him out as he enters that brush, scream at him a little bit, and then everything's going to be fine. Well, now clearing out these minion waves. Relatively even on items are our 280 carries, considering the fact that Vasili does have a little bit more in the department of kills and assists. But just that Avarice Blade going to be changing things up.
It's definitely going to be a few 80 carry items before we see the marksman influencing these fights right here. They need to get the attack speed and the Last Whispers going against the huge tanky front lines coming out from both Cola and Carry.
Yeah, both of these teams with huge front lines. As you mentioned, Insect just going to make sure that they definitely get this tower, but oh, there's actually going to be Fate's call coming through here. Zero does pick up the knock-up. There's Right of the Arcane, though. Is the last bolt going to land? No, it's not. Out of range there is Cola. He's going to teleport in. Absolute Zero to come down as well. It's a nice knock-up from Insect, but he's going to die for it. Korn gets stunned up by Hatong from the backside as Vasily's now in a lot of trouble. Playful Trickster doesn't find the mark, but does end up getting the auto attack. Marta's going to dodge out of the way of that Death Sentence, makes it under his tower, but Cola doesn't care. He just hangs around, tanks that turret for about 15 years, and everything's fine.
And the difference in that fight where Dr. Mundo's at the front, eating aggro, getting the consistent slows of his cleaver, and the previous fight where Maokai got the tank engage, the flank engage on the side at Dragon, is night and day. And that's why it's going to be so interesting when it's a balanced 5v fight between these two teams, because there's so much tanky flavor at the front lines. And when one team has the huge advantage in that, the fight goes completely their way.
Yeah, most definitely. And Korn, we were talking about the fact that he's had a quiet game early on, has picked up 3 kills in the last couple of skirmishes, really starting to scale up on this Fizz, and now has that Zhonya's Hourglass to his name as well, so he can be all manner of tricky in these fights.
Absolutely, and I do like why he's gone for the Zhonya's here rather than perhaps the Lich Bane for a bit more burst damage, because if you look down the lineup of Vici right here, so much space control and AoE magic damage coming out, the Fizz will be able to go in for an assassination and likely die to a lot of the incidental damage of the Absolute Zero, of Marta, of Carry. So having the ability to go into stasis and then have that Playful Trickster come off cooldown with all the CDR that comes out of Merlinomicon, it's a smart pickup here because, of course, if you're alive for longer in the fight, you'll do more than if you just have slightly more burst from the Lich Bane.
Oh, most definitely. And now has the blue buff as well, so definitely at 40% CDR here as Vasily's going to pop that Scrying Orb and check out whether anyone's going to kill him when he enters this brush, throws out that Boomerang Blade and clears this wave as well. So definitely going to be good having this Sivir to clear these waves. With Hatong as well, I mean, they can stall this game out for almost as long as they want. You have to think.
They have a huge advantage in minion wave pushing right here. This is one of the small times when actually a Hurricane, maybe even just as a 3rd or 4th item, might be a smart pickup from Well, just so he has a bit more wave clear to help his team. That's the one area Fizz doesn't provide much, is the wave clear. In the late game especially, you can't be using Playful Tricks to clear those waves, and no other sort of AoE wave clear coming out from Starhorn Royal Club. So they need to aggressively get the wards down and get the vision advantage, but this is Vici Gaming we're talking about. They're always in the advantage and ascendancy in terms of wards with that vision double of Marta and Dandy. So it's going to be difficult for them to get picks in the late game, and they're going to be trading a lot on the power of their frontline tank here, Cola, because it's just going to be so difficult for Fizz to have an initiation roll or get any picks when it's against Danny and Marta on the double Sightstone out from Vici Gaming.
Oh, most definitely. Vasily has finished up his Berserker's Greed. He's going to be running relatively quickly around these fights. The Zeal has been completed now, though, for Well. Zero trying to steal away that Scuttle Crab. Doesn't quite manage to as Dandy locks that one down. And you were exactly right when you were talking about the vision. Look at how many blue dots there are on this map. Royal Club, they can't move anywhere without being spotted out. You can see pings on top of them whenever they make a move. And Dragon now up in 10 seconds, and you have to think that Vici Gaming definitely want to make a move for this one. They can't let Starhorn Royal Club make a snowball out of these neutral objectives.
I mean, the pink ward line from Vici Gaming is perfect. It's straight down the river, all the way down. All their defensive entrances are pink warded. So there's just no way for Starhorn Royal Club to realistically invade with that masterclass of pink wards down. It's always good to look at a team's pink wards to see where they think they are in a game. They understand they're behind, but they're not going to offer any free objectives to Starhorn Royal Club.
Oh no, it's still definitely an even game in the eyes of Vici Gaming. Marta does have Tibbers available. We'll see whether the engage is going to come through. Oh, Dandy actually getting caught up there by the death sentence. It is going to be locked down here by Insect, but carries come through. Dandy's just going to die straight away. Insect with a beautiful knock-up on multiple members. Vasily trying to get the damage down. Marta flashing out of the way of that death sentence, but Cola, he's got Vasily in his sights and just going to burn him down with that burning agony. Insect taking a bit of damage there, but just stabs Marta right through the skull with that spear. Right of the Arcane, going to be dodged out of the way from, and Well going to secure the kill onto Hatong after another beautiful death sentence. Never give Zero this thresh. He is too good.
I mean, Zero's threshes are highlighted at the end of the fight, but you could see Mundo running straight at Vasily, and what is he to do? There's only Warden's Mail for armor on this Mundo, but already Sivir has no answers whatsoever for the tanky Cola right here. And in a fight where you have both Carry on Maokai and Dr. Mundo on Cola, Mundo's going to win it every time when it's against a champion that really struggles to break through a frontline tank.
And especially now, 3-0-4 as Kohler has picked up another Spectre's Cowl, and as you mentioned, that Warden's Mail. You have to think that the Banshee's Veil going to be coming through very soon, or he might just go straight for that Randuin's Omen, so he has that AoE slow, doesn't even need to hit his cleavers anymore, and can just sit on top of Vasily. Nothing he can do.
Yeah, about 300 gold away from the Randuins, if that's the way he wants to go with his build right here, which is very scary if you're Vasily right here. There's a reason why he's been playing a lot of these hyper carries. It's, of course, to break down tanks like Dr. Mundo, and Tristana actually would have been a very fortuitous pickup. Has the healing reduction, has the tank bustering, but the last pick, Dr. Mundo, a champion we haven't seen in the LPL so far this season, has been really, really important for this comp.
Oh, most definitely. And we were talking about the fact that Royal Club, they might have a plan here for this game, and you can see that they definitely did. Insect trying to make a move as Kohler's actually going to teleport down here. Takes the Lantern just for fun, and Dandy, he might have been caught out. The Flay's not going to find its mark. Carry, he's teleporting in, wanting to make something happen. Marta looking for a Tibbers around here as well. The Righteous Glory not quite popped just yet, but on the hunt is an absolute zero to come through here from Dandy. He's walking around trying to make an impact. Insect very, very low in the backside. Carry going low as well. Dandy also being locked up here. And Vasily, he forced a flash out of that fight as a Cataclysm comes through. That's a double kill already here for Insect. Zero is finally going to go down, and Marta, you're in a lot of trouble getting burnt down. Playful Trickster enough to secure that kill. 3 dead now on the side of Vici Gaming, and they are struggling to do anything when these fights break out.
They're fighting around their Kalista very well here, able to take down Carry with relative ease at the start of the fight. And when that Maokai falls, the Righteous Glory Maokai that's really struggling to have an impact in this fight, Kohler's alive and happily running into the front lines right there, zoning away multiple carries. I liked the engage coming out from Vici, but the issue there was that the only 2 people not grouped and not there at the engage was Xerath and Sivir. They got no instant damage down with all the CC, and once they turned it around there, once Kalista focused down this Maokai, the team comp of Vici Gaming just fell apart.
Oh, most definitely. And we're going to see a replay.
Yeah, we're going to see the replay right here. Dandy's baiting for this teleport to come through right here. The Twisted Advance goes so deep onto Insect, but look at this. You look at the minimap here. Sivir and Xerath aren't grouped. They're doing no damage during all this CC right here. And then at the backline, Well lives and is able to free hit with a lot of impunity. Zero gets the very nice hook in, but Well's at the back free hitting, and Kohler's not going to die anytime soon. The front line is so much stronger for Starholm Royal Club that in any of these extended fights, if they're not grouped, if we don't see the instant burst coming out from Xerath or Sivir to get a first pick, they have no chance of winning a fight.
Yeah, that is definitely true. And Kohler is just looking invincible. Now has that Banshee's Veil almost up to that Randuin's Omen as well, has the Giant's Belt on top of the Warden's Veil now. And once he has those 3 massive items, he's going to be so hard to kill, not to mention when he gets a Thorn Mail. I mean, I think if Kohler gets to the point where he has a Thorn Mail, there's almost no way that he's going to die this game.
It's just a masterstroke of a 5th pick. You don't often see you often see a solo lane being 5th pick counterpicked, but not often a top lane matchup. It was such a smart adaptation to pick the Dr. Mundo here, and he's completely unlocking Vici Gaming's comp. They have no answer whatsoever to the Mundo, and that's kind of the exciting thing, is that Starholm Royal Club, they keep winning. They keep winning even though they don't have a settled lineup. So you're so excited to see this sort of innovation, this sort of smart team comps, when they have that superstar AD carry to complement them.
Most definitely. Korn now going for a bit of a split push down this bottom side. Vici Gaming actually looking for a potential engage here, knowing that that mid laner and the top laner is up top there as well. Doesn't have his teleport available yet either, so Kohler's not going to be quick to these fights. You can see Korn has actually headed back to base, does have those Boots of Lucidity as well as the Lich Bane now as well. So this Fizz well and truly powered up. And we'll see where the next fight is going to come from, because you're exactly right. We need to see Vici Gaming get that pick and have their carries in the right position, because this is the essence of a 2 damage comp, and if the 2 damage isn't there, I mean, they're not doing anything. They're just locking people down.
Yeah, Sivir's so irrelevant when it comes to damage here, just because she's getting completely zerged down by the Randuin's Jarvan and Mundo with his bevy of tank items, compared to Kalista, who's getting a lot of peel from Jarvan and Thresh in the backline, and it's just not that tanky a carry. It's not Maokai with Rod of Ages into Randuin's like we saw last series. It's the Righteous Glory almost emergency initiation build, but he's dying from that initiation.
He really is. Has a Spirit Visage now, so going to be able to deal with a little bit more of Korn's damage, but Still going to be a little bit of a worry. Vasily trying to clear out this top wave as well. Just said, okay, we're not going to win team fights. I'm split pushing now. And Siva is a decent AD carry if you want to do it with one of those, but not going to be all that safe. The rest of Vici Gaming sort of coming up to help hold his hand here as Kola is just going to protect his base. And you have to think that there's nothing Vasily can do. He's going to have to walk out of it.
And the Randuin's Omen is completed. Now Mundo has decent wave here because, of course, he's happy to stand in the middle of the minion wave with the Burning Agony. Not going to have any worries about dropping health there, as we see. Well, he's going to get the execution on this dragon from I did about 1,200 damage from the Rend, which is pretty standard.
Casual 1,200 damage Rend.
The casual neutral objectives confirming that we see from Kalista. It's interesting. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, it's interesting when you've got a team that has a Nunu, but as soon as you have a Kalista on the other side, you don't have the neutral objective control anymore.
I mean, obviously the argument is that Nunu has the instant 1,000 true damage from the consume, but if you leave a Kalista free hitting an objective, once those Rend stacks go in, she does so much damage to them.
Oh, that is definitely true. You can see that Vasily has kept up as far as that farm is concerned. Both of them hitting the same item spikes now that they've finished off those last Whispers. So going to be cutting through the armor now of both of these sides. But you can see two Randuins on the side of Royal Club because, of course, they've had a little bit more money on their jungler and top laner, and no armor really to speak of coming out of Vici just yet.
But little flashes of brilliance come out from Vici right here. Look at this ward they have on the Baron just out of sight of a standard pink ward here. They always have advanced knowledge and great warding, but the team fight comp here is going to be completely undone by this Mundo pick.
Yeah, Carrie's actually teleporting into this one. Zero's taking a lot of damage. Hit by the Death Sentence there. Carrie's just getting ripped apart here on the backside. Chum the Waters on top of Dandy here as well. He's just going to die. There's the Rite of the Arcane coming through from Atong. He hasn't been touched yet in the back line. Is trying to get off a lot of that long-range damage. Stun not going to land. Vasily trying to get out of the way of Kola, but he's just going to die to Well here. He's doing so much damage. And now he's coming through. Hatong's going to fall down. That's an ace coming through for Royal Club, and now they're going to finish off the Baron.
They have absolutely no answer to Kola right here. He just body blocked Siva, stood on top of Siva. Vasily actually flashed away to do more damage, flashed into the fight as a 500 range carry, because there's nothing she can do against this Dr. Mundo. They have no answer whatsoever, and I keep repeating the point, but what a fifth pick coming out, what a last pick coming out from Sahon Royal Club. It's not often that you can counterpick an entire team with just a single top laner, but Dr. Mundo, he's just running where he pleases.
He's definitely done that, and you saw just there the power of this Kalista as well. I think that was almost 2,000 damage with that Rend, and now has the Quicksilver Sash as well, so you're not going to be locking down this incredibly slippery 80 carry at all. And now with a bit of lifesteal on top of it, so getting very, very scary. And Warden's Mail has been completed by Carry, so he's going to have a little bit more of that armor, but he needs a couple of armor items before he can really properly tank for his team.
And Dr. Mundo is about 300 gold away from the Thorn Mail to basically put the exclamation mark on this game.
Yep, the final nail to the metaphorical coffin to come through here from Kola, who's just flailing his arms around like crazy as well. I mean, when this is such an intelligent pick, looking at this guy is just a little bit amusing.
We look at the minion waves here. Obviously, very aggressively pushing into bottom lane is Mundo, and the rest of the team tracking things to top lane here. Importantly, Fizz is split away, obviously unbeknownst to Vici to some degree here. So they could potentially look for an engage, but realistically, they won't see Fizz until he steps over a ward and goes into this mid lane wave.
Yeah, and Royal Club now with a 10,000 gold advantage. And Kola, now with the Baron buff, just going to head towards this tower and possibly even just kill Vasily right underneath it if he wants to, just ignoring this Siva completely.
It's a lot of damage coming out from the turret right there.
Yeah, the turret definitely an MVP as far as that's concerned. But the long-range cannon minion, he's going to fall down. And Royal Club now just protecting theirs right here. That sapling not going to be able to finish that one off, and zoning Vici Gaming away from that so it can do consistent damage to this tower. Vasily again clearing out this wave, so the one saving grace here is the fact that they do have the wave clear coming out of multiple members of their team.
Only two ranged auto attackers, both Kalista, who's of course that medium 550 range, and the Thresh right here. So it's actually quite difficult to take down turrets. So they managed to pick one up in the mid lane. The Lichbane Fizz actually unlocking the defense coming out from Vici.
Yeah, Korn actually just split pushing off on his own here as well. Decent Boomerang Blade to come through, but Kola continuing to press his advantage here on the bottom side. Korn going to move over that. Lichbane going to tear through this turret, as you mentioned. And Vasily trying to get damage down, but you can see this Baron is being used to such great effect. Cola not bothered by anything that's coming towards him. This inhibitor going to fall. The second one for the game. Korn, he's moved around to the top side of the map as well. They're pressuring in on that one. Clearing out the creeps with his Playful Trickster, and then that Lichbane again just to tear through the turret. And the third one, this is where Vici Gaming almost have to contest, because losing 3 inhibitors is almost death. And Marta actually coming through with the flash tibbers. Vici starting off really, really well, taking down the AD carry. Korn going to blow that Zhonya's Hourglass here as well. Vasily gets eaten by a fish. Is he going to die? Yes, he is. Korn finishes off that kill. Carry still incredibly healthy here in the back line, but Dandy isn't. He's going to die. Hetong's also dead, and Carry with no damage, just a bit of CC. It's just going to be a matter of time before he's taken down as well. And what a masterclass of champ select here from Royal Club, because Cola, 6, 0, and 14. You could not kill that Mundo.
You have to say both AD carries to some degree here, Atlas, completely irrelevant in this game, just because Mundo completely trivialized anything Vasily could do. It didn't matter if Vasily had another Bloodthirster to add to his items right there. No way that he was going to be ripping through that Dr. Mundo. Kalista was doing respectable damage in the back of fights, was unnecessary in that fight, died instantly, but they won the fight anyway.
Yeah, it was just beautiful to see, and this Mundo just running wherever he wanted to. It was great work as well, sieging down those turrets from 3 separate fronts, really splitting off that wave clear that is excellent, but when you've only got 2 sources of that, making sure that you pressure every single lane is the way that you're going to do it, and Star and Royal Club just tore the base apart.
Yeah, they were just really smart in understanding that, okay, they didn't have the best siege comp, but they were able to split push. Even with a fed Dr. Mundo, you might think, all right, that means team fight. No, they split pushed very effectively, used the Fizz Lichbane to pick up those turrets. It was just smart play. And we'll go to a replay just to see how it wasn't just the pushing, it was also the team fighting that was really important. So this is around the Baron. Cole is the man to watch here in these team fights, right? So we'll roll the tape here. Cole is the man to watch right here. There's complete knowledge. We see Maokai is going to come in an excellent position in the fight right here, but Cola's work in this team fight is crazy. So first of all, they're able to get a lot of DPS onto Carry, and then Cola's job is basically to run at Vasily. They take down Carry first. He's very, very low, and then Cole can just run at Vasily, and what's he going to do? It looks like he doesn't have much health, but he's burning away Vasily. Vasily has to flash in and try and get an exit kill just to be relevant in this fight, and Cola on Dr. Mundo, already level 16, already having so many items at this game. Dr. Mundo was a masterstroke of a last pick, and if that's the sort of flavor we can expect from the decision-making of Star Royal Club as their roster continues to level up once Name comes into the team, they're going to be a team to really be reckoned with once the playoffs roll around.
Oh, most definitely, but you have to think that the likes of Vasily going to potentially have an answer to that one, and with the switching of sides, not going to have that opportunity to last pick that one away, and we'll see whether Vici can answer the pressure that's been put on them here by Starhorn Royal Club as we hop into our next matchup here. But firstly, we're just going to go to a quick break, and we'll be back with Game 2 very soon.